Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for hopping on the call this morning. So we have a very special guest today. We have Keri White with us, who is actually a good friend of ours and a good friend of RMG as well. I've known her for quite a while. She's been doing real estate for over 20 years. She does head up the office in Element, Los Angeles. Just recently out there in Santa Monica, they opened up a space there, and she is heading that up and a partner. She's been doing video and social media for God knows how long, and she kills it and crushes it. If there's someone that you'd like to emulate in this business, it's definitely Keri. So warm welcome to Keri White. Thank you for joining us today, and take it away.
Wow, that was very sweet. That was a very sweet welcome. Yes, a good friend of RMG, and really thrilled to be speaking to everybody today. I know that the market is up and down. It's a roller coaster. But I don't know, being in real estate for so many years, I feel like, when is it not a roller coaster, right? That's kind of what we're used to. It's what we're built for. I know Robert had said that a few years ago with, maybe it was COVID. Maybe we were at one of our houses and he's like, you know, that's what we're trained to do as real estate agents. We pivot all day long with what, you know, our client schedules or the trajectory of the transaction or the listing. Like, what's up? Nick G. Okay, there we go. With we know to pivot. That's like what we're built for. You know, Gary Keller's book Shift. I think, what was that, during the housing recession? But like, we, you know, as agents, that's what we learned to do. So no matter what's happening with any shifts in the market, like, we know we just adjust. If this isn't working, if sales are down, if listings are down, if buyers aren't getting under contract, like whatever it is, we know we strategize and create a game plan right away. So I know that a lot of these, you know, these Zooms and the masterclass that you guys do is really talking about what agents are struggling with and inside tips to make sure everyone thrives in this market. Because all I know is money is being exchanged right now. People are buying, people are selling. So who's the one that's handling those transactions? Yeah. Oh, I lost volume.
Did you?
Oh, there you go.
Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
So can you maybe talk a little bit about, I know that you do video constantly, and maybe talk a little bit about what you're putting out content wise, and, you know, how people can stay relevant maybe with kind of what's going on in the current market right now.
Perfect. And then something I was just thinking of, I know when I watch these, whether live or on a recording back, sometimes I don't know who the person is. So just so you all know, I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and I have been working in real estate for almost 20 years. I work on the west side of Los Angeles with buyers and sellers, and have done almost everything and anything when it comes to real estate. I've done cold calls, I've done door knocking, I've done meetup events, I've done notices of default, I've done calling dead people, open house strategies, so many things, online leads, just you name it. I even got leads from Tinder back when I was single. But basically, literally everything and anything outside of divorce attorneys or business to business, I guess I would say I've done. I've worked on several teams prior to creating my own team in 2013, which was a huge leap of faith. And just kudos to everybody in real estate, because you wake up every day essentially unemployed, right? And your client who becomes your past client, it doesn't mean they're still your client. You have to earn everybody's business every single day by constantly providing value and your professionalism. And as the market shifts, I think more than ever, we need to be the professional, and we need to give them the information. So sorry. Okay, to go back, you were saying video. What about video? What do I do?
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that you're like, maybe talk a little bit about how you create video and how you stay relevant, and maybe kind of the content that you're focusing on right now with the current market status.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the truth, I guess, is what we're focusing on. The name of the game with any business and any aspect of your business is really consistency. Whatever you do, if you do it over and over again, if you do it at a high level, it's going to work. And sometimes it takes a lot longer than you think it should or that you want it to. But the moment that you start to doubt yourself or give up is really the turning point. That's something that's really helped me, knowing that when it's really tough, it's supposed to be tough. And this is where you really need to push through. And a lot of people, give up at those moments. So with video, it has remained the easiest way to stay in front of people. And there's so much false information out there. And there's also the real estate agents' take on it. And a lot of times their take is not relevant or not important. There's a stat recently that 35% of agents are doing more business, about an equal amount are doing the same, and 25% are doing less. So you've got 65% of real estate agents out there that if you ask them, how's the market, how are they going to respond? They're not feeling great about the market, but that's not because of the market, it's because of their performance. Mm-hmm. And people's opinions can really persuade. How many people have taken a parent or a fiance or something to an inspection or to a property that they want to buy, and then all of a sudden this house they were gung-ho on, wanted to write an offer on, they're no longer writing, and they have all these other opinions. And a lot of times that person maybe isn't a homeowner, or maybe they've had their house so long they don't understand what current values are. They're from a city where they think everything here is very expensive. So your influence, your outside influence on who you are is really important. So we always have to be careful, like Darren Hardy says, those crabs, pulling you down. Yeah. And you just have to remember when you come out, say your group of friends, like, hey guys, I'm going to do whatever it is. I'm going to buy a property, or I'm going to invest in this business. If you're around people that have a negative outlook, they're not going to acknowledge or support you in what you want to do. And they're going to tell you why you can't do it, why you're not good enough. Hopefully your parents didn't do that to you, but I'd say 70 to 80% of us did have parents who did that. What I'm learning being older, luckily I have amazing parents. They did many other things to mess me up, but it's all good. But keeping with the video marketing, we tried to make sure that we're giving the truth. And sure, we give our insight, but we're constantly trying to put what's really happening out there and letting people know that they need to do their research. They need to understand what's going on. So the market took its first dip in a little while. Well, what does that mean? Does that mean inventory plunged in? No. What does that mean for rates? What does that really mean long term? So constantly reminding people of what the headlines are, what the information is, and just rinse and repeat. The hardest thing to do video, it's challenging to keep doing video. It's a pain in the butt. You have to deal with all your ego stuff and what do I look like, and then the content and etc. But just getting out of your own way and being committed to the consumer and getting the information to them is what trumps any kind of insecurity or lack of wanting to do video constantly. You just know it is something that works, and consistency is really the key to the breakthroughs that you need.
Right. Yeah. I mean, anybody that's in coaching or Tom Ferry or anything, I mean, they've been preaching video for, I don't know how long now. Right. And it's something that if you're not doing it, you're supposed to be doing it. Let's just say that. And so I know you've been doing it for quite a while. When did you, I know that you got an amazing following online, and you've gotten amazing responses with your Keri TV and all of your things that you've been doing with video. Do you have a timeline as to when you started to see it kind of pick up? Are you getting clients from just video online, and maybe speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, good question. We started doing social on a more serious level in 2013. That was when we did the photo shoot with the lifestyle photos and started curating our feeds, which became outdated pretty quickly. I'd say by 2018, 2019, everybody was like, we don't want to see this anymore. But at the time it was, so glamorous, and it really set you apart to make people want to follow you, to portray that lifestyle of whatever it is, luxury real estate, Los Angeles. But we started doing video in 2018. Yes, it was at a Tom Ferry summit, and he goes, hey, do you guys want to know my video plan? I do this list of things. I still remember it, shoot 4 to 5 videos one day a month, then cut it up into these little segments. You have the video for YouTube, then you have the reels for Instagram, and you post it. You do an e-blast Tuesday at 8 a.m. and then you post 2 little snippets plus a quote card, and then you do that again on Thursday and call it back to the previous one, and then preview for the next week. and then you rip the audio and you put it on it. So anyways, there was this whole SOP for it. And they said, you know what, why can't I do this? So we put it into place, and it was a big pain in the butt. But I said, no matter what happens, I will do this for a year. I will deliver a video every single week, even if it takes everything out of me. I don't care. I will put a video out there every week. And the first Keri TV video is pretty ridiculous. There's like terrible music, terrible graphics. It's windy. I'm just like standing there with my assistant at the time, and she's just like, go. I think you can even hear her say go in the video.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we did videos here and there, but never really at a consistent level. But from that point forward, year over year, and that was during wedding year and all the crazy times of travel and whatnot with 2019. But it was around 6 months to 9 months in that people started to reach out from those videos, like, hey, I've seen you online, or hey, I've been following you, or I was referred to you and I started seeing your videos, and your content's really helpful. We're looking to move XYZ. There's not a complete ROI on your impact on social media or video, to be honest, because you can't track everything. It's a presence. It's like farming a neighborhood when you're doing Google ads and postcards and open houses. Sometimes you just get a call that's like, hey, I need some help, because they've seen you everywhere. A lot of people think you post things on social media and then you immediately get referrals or get people wanting to reach out. And it's not that. It's like a billboard, a 24/7 billboard where people can research you, see who you are, see how you operate. And people work with ones that they know, like, and trust. So if they're seeing you online, they're going to feel familiar. They're going to feel like you're familiar when they show up to see you at an appointment or the house. And so it takes away this whole level of trying to sell people that you meet now, because they're already sold on you before they meet you.
Right. Right. And that's some of the biggest things I've heard from people that have been doing video for a long time. When you get in the room for the appointment, they're already ready to work with you. It's just kind of like the formalities at that point. And that's probably the most amazing thing. Right. And I know that comes with consistency and hard work, and you've been doing that for years. And so it's really cool to see that it can pay off.
Yeah. And speaking to the time frame of it, we pivoted from doing long form videos every week to doing shorter reels. So we're still doing the same format where we shoot once a month for all the content, but we're taking videos, chopping them up, and probably really only doing one real Keri TV a month, which is a market update that we do local Google service ads on. But it's constantly knowing, hey, what do we do next with this? Because what's working for you and what's creating the success that you have now is constantly changing, which is such a pain in the butt. But it is something that, we have to understand. It's all part of the journey.
Yeah, totally. And it is changing. It's tough to keep up. I mean, we do video consistently here. We batch once a month, but now we hear every week or month or every few months, like, oh, this is not what people are liking anymore. Do this now. And it's like, so it's tough to keep up, but as long as you're following certain people in the industry, I feel like you can always catch on and be able to be now with the times on everything. And having said all that, do you feel that right now, just talking from like a low level, if somebody wants to start doing video, would you say that doing like what we call edutainment rather than, is that like the thing right now? Would you say that's the most important thing rather than doing funny TikTok videos like people were doing the last few years?
Oh man, I feel like everybody knows my stance on this. I would love to do funny reels and funny TikToks all day long. And we do some once in a while. But this is the difference between, it's hard to get started when you have 0 videos. It's hard to get started when you have 0 followers. But remember, everything that we've done in life, whether it's your first step as a baby, every little first thing always starts with a first. So if you're doing your videos and you're not getting much engagement, you're not getting many likes, that's how it's supposed to be. You're not on there. Say you do a really funny TikTok or reel, goofy one, whatever. If you're prospecting and you're trying to maybe break into a luxury market as Ryan and Robert have in the last few years, which is amazing, like snaps to that. And you think, if I do this reel and somebody that I'm trying to get a listing for $10 million sees it, will they want to work with me? And if you say no, then you should not be doing that type of content on your social media, because the social media idea is the influence that I need to get a lot of likes, I need to get comments, I need to get reshares, because that's, that's to be a real estate influencer. But unless you're trying to get paid sponsorship ads or something of the sort, that doesn't bring you in the clients. So even if you don't have a ton of engagement or likes or whatever, it slowly builds. But when your clientele who are getting referred to, or your past clients, they're seeing you on there and they're like, wow, yeah, I haven't chatted with her in a little while. She was great. We worked with her, but look at all that information she's giving out. Look at the market stats and look at the inside tips and the predictions on the market. We should reach out and see what our house is worth, or something like that. So it's really having a game plan for who you want to be and who you want to be seen as, and how you want your clients to interpret you. Because the information, the education you put out there is still helpful for other agents. So you'll gain a following in both ways.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's true. Other people will be watching and they'll grab value from it, and you'll get credibility in other groups as well too. We have a question from Robert Mack. He said,
okay, question.
How do you come up with
and makes you sign for signs?
No, I want to know the open.
Can we mute whoever that is? It says, how do you come up with original content or try things never been done? How do you stay ahead of the curve in super loud and saturated world? Like Tom says, we are all a bag of potato chips.
We are. Good.
That was a 3-part question from Robert.
I love it. Let's unpack it. Okay, so first, how to stay consistent in a loud world. Well, I do think you have to be following the social media trends. No, you don't need to know when the algorithm changes or all these little things. I mean, maybe you do, but really looking at what others are doing and what's working. But first and foremost is coming to, who am I as an agent, as a person? What's my avatar? Who do I want to sell homes to, or who do I want to attract to be a part of my brokerage? And do content that is focused on that. If you know that you're working in a senior community and you need to do videos on downsizing and estate sales and changing property taxes and transferring your property taxes, then that's your demographic. If you're working with Gen Zers, then you do, different type of poppier TikToks or reels that have a lot of cuts in them and action, but it's still information and it's like sound bites. And so, you watch, you study, you research what people are doing and what works, and you stay true to it. Just because somebody's on stage and they're doing a funny TikTok or Instagram opening doors and saying like, this is how you see the magic, and everyone's laughing, and it doesn't mean that you should go and recreate things like that just because somebody else did it and it worked. It's really identifying who you are and sticking. It's like your life. You stick to your morals and values. When you have a decision to make about what you're doing, in life or in a certain moment, you think like, who do I align with as a person? And that's how you make your decisions. So same with your content. You're constantly thinking, and trust me, we got off track. I mean, if my social media team or my assistant was here, they'd be like, yeah, like every other week sometimes. I'm like, screw this. Like, let's do some funny reels. I'm so bored with myself. Let's go do this. And then next I'll be like, never doing that again. That was ridiculous. Stop that. So, we all still go through the roller coaster, but again, it's trial and error. And as Tom Ferry said, you're going to have a ton of donkeys and then a unicorn. So just keep in mind that 80 to 90% of your content is not going to be fireworks. It's just going to be content because people love to consume. So stay true to who you are and what you want. And remember, on camera, as Tanya, Rob's wife, always says, hi guys, this is Keri TV. You are a little level up or a little bit different from who you are just on a one-on-one level. Like when I'm with my clients, I'm speaking to them in, this tone of voice, matter of fact, but on camera, you do level it up and bring a different energy to it, because that's what you need to do on camera. But how do you stay ahead of the curve? That is a good one. I think with staying ahead of the curve, I always think about that. Like, what's next? It's really, again, your research and your influence. So if you're not just following real estate agents, also following other influencers in different aspects, you see what they're doing and what they're talking about. And, also what you're attracted to. What makes you click on something, the learn more button on Instagram? What is that? I keep a little note in my phone, anything that I like or anything that I want to emulate or just things to keep in mind. I constantly throw those in there so I don't have to do it on the spot. And then usually once a week, I go through and look at all the notes, like, what did I like? What did I take away? Sometimes I'm like, what the hell was I looking at? That's stupid.
Yeah.
And other times I'm like, wow, I forgot about that. And just knowing that you don't have to be super different from everybody else. You know, what works. We know that working hard pays off, door knocking pays off, calling past clients pays off, doing consistent content pays off. But I think at the end of the day, staying different or staying ahead of the curve would just be, you know, watching what people are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was great questions from Robert Mack. Of course, he always has a lot going on in his brain. He put it all in one comment for you. So what I would like, so I know we went heavy on video. We can take a shift here and then we can also do some questions here, but like,
yeah,
going not necessarily into video period, but if you have like, I mean, you've been doing this for a long time, you've obviously stayed relevant, you've stayed consistent, you never left the business and you've been killing it. So if you have like maybe 1 to 3 tips for real estate across the board to stay and have longevity, what would those be right now? What do you have of your 20-year experience? Like, what do you have to tell us?
Good question. Well, like I was saying before, what you did before is probably not what you need to do to get you to the next level. Bottom line, you have to constantly be evolving and reinventing yourself. They say what, every 18 months, but really looking at your systems and your avatar and your numbers and saying like, is this working? What do I need to shift? And leaning into yourself. The greatness and the path to the life you want will always come from who you are as a person. The skills and the scripts and the systems, if you don't have that within you and that like inner confidence and inner fire and that like core of who you are and what you want, and that could be wanting to serve all the people ages this to this in this community because of some reason, or to serve a community that, you know, is part of a church group or whatever it is. Like, if you really have that burning desire and you're open to constantly learning from it and evolving with it, that will create longevity, because you have to really, really love real estate to be in real estate. Because real estate, I would say, is one of the hardest industries in the world. And it is portrayed as mansions and heels. I don't know why that happens. I don't blame HGTV, because we all thought that prior to all those shows. We all thought it was mansions and heels, you know, and people like seeing that. But, you know, home ownership creates a path for people to get ahead and own, to have wealth that not many professions offer to a lower to middle class American. You know, if you're out of a job due to an illness, if you're a single mom or a single dad, if you're a renter, you can, I mean, you're 2 steps away from being homeless. If you're a homeowner, you get to rely on that equity to help you transition into, you know, a single story home or a retirement home. But seeing the way that home ownership has changed people's lives and helped them get ahead financially helps me believe in it even more, to helping people understand the importance of it. And you know, yeah. So I don't know where the question started with longevity. Yes,
it was just tips on like on how to stay in the business, how to continue to be successful. I mean, like you said, you evolving, but I just was curious to know if you had, you know, things that you've learned or aha moments over the past 20 plus years, like that have kept you in the game. And, you know, if you just had any tips or advice, that was kind of the question.
Yeah. Right. Okay. And I went on a tangent. Yeah. It just constantly be evolving. Know that it sucks and love what you do.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I always tell agents on our team too, and whether in a rut or not, you know, boring shit is what makes success.
Oh my
gosh. All the boring stuff, right? And years and years and hours of the boring stuff is what makes agents successful. You don't see all that on social media or on TV.
Not at all.
You know, they open up escrow in 2 minutes on HGTV, and you didn't see the 6 to 8 months before that, right? So
no, exactly. Yeah. And it is, you get to a point when you're first in real estate, you meet someone who says they might buy a house and you're like, I sold a house, I sold it. Oh my God, it was gorgeous. and then once you're in the business, you realize someone could say they want to buy a house, go see a bunch of houses, write an offer, and then never buy a house.
Right.
So, your whole perspective on real estate changes as to what excites you. And yes, sometimes you can get jaded when you have gotten to a certain place and you are selling a lot of homes and things are consistent. But that the market will always shift and always knock you on your ass. So staying grateful and staying connected to what you want and what you want to achieve is really important for longevity. Getting into other aspects of real estate too, like growing a team, buying investment properties, flipping. There's a whole beautiful world out there for real estate. I always laugh at people like, oh, I'm in real estate. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, you're in real estate, you're in a house, you sell real estate, you sell commercial, you sell, apartment buildings, you run a brokerage, you're in property management, you're a VC, there's so many different aspects of it. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you again for taking the time. I think maybe now we're at 11 o'clock. Let's open it up. If anybody has questions, please feel free to type them or hop on, turn your camera on and just unmute and ask questions for Keri here. We'll take some time for that now.
Yeah, I wanted to say something. I was listening to the KCM webinars. Does everybody follow KCM or listen to their webinars? They're so overwhelming. They're so good. There's so much wonderful information. But Dave Childers starts this webinar a couple weeks ago, and he goes with his little cadence in his voice. What will stop you from having success in the spring market in 2023? Mm-hmm. And these comments from agents were all like interest rates, inventory, my mindset, just all this negativity. And I was looking at these responses in the chat, like, Dave asked you what's going to stop your success, and you all gave him a bunch of reasons. Nobody in there said nothing will stop my success.
Yeah,
I am in control of my future. And I was blown away. And it just reminded me of how the only reason we play small is because we think we can't play big. And as cliche as it is, the mindset is everything when it comes to this business.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
That wasn't a question, but that was just a reminder.
I 100% agree. Mindset is literally the foundation for this business, for sure. I mean, you could have a great month and the next day you could wake up and be down in the dumps and you could throw everything off. So it's absolutely true. I couldn't agree more. And
it's these things, growing and being open to learning. And you may think you know everything about real estate because you've been doing it a long time or you sell a lot of houses, but there's always something to learn. So as we call Robert Mack, L2L, love to learn. He's always a student of life and a student of these conferences, even when we're like, oh my God, we've been so many times, but he's always inspired me to try to be open to learning still more because, everything is changing all the time. And Ryan joining his team a few years ago, it's like, you were the sponge, or just give it to me. Just give it to me. I'll do it. And it's very powerful to see people use the tools and to be, students of the real estate world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely a sponge and has displayed and given some knowledge to everybody else. That's for sure. We have questions. Anybody? Questions?
Any questions? Don't be shy.
Don't be shy. Unmute. Say hello. Ask Keri a question. This is your chance. You may never see her again.
Yeah. Throw in your Instagram handle to the chat so everybody could follow each other. And when you see somebody that has no likes, give them a like, throw them a comment, even if you don't know them. It means a lot to them, but also helps them want to keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been great. You have a great group of people on here.
Yes, we do. Okay, let me see.
Handles are coming in.
Handles are coming in. I don't have a question yet. Let's see if anybody else has. Oh, okay, there we go.
Ryan, how do you feel like your social media? Oh, we have a hand up. I love that.
We have a hand up? Do we?
David Hong.
Yes, I have a question.
There he is.
I have a question.
Sure.
So as agents, I'm a new agent, by the way. I've been licensed about a month, and I'm learning all the different aspects and how to work things. With the recent change in the interest rates yesterday, how should we? I think even the customers that we're working with currently, things might change for them quickly, right? what they're looking at today might not be what they qualify for next week.
Totally.
So what do we do to what are your thoughts on explaining that to them and getting them down and closing on that lesser home or whatever?
Yeah. Well, congrats to getting into real estate. The world is your oyster now.
Thank you.
Kudos. Yeah. It's a great question. When I'm talking to clients, not many of them are bringing up interest rates, by the way. Sometimes what we're hearing from other real estate agents and the news media makes us think all these clients are upset about rates. But talking to them about what their payment is, right? We actually made an interest rate chart. I don't even know where we got it from. Like I stole it from somebody, like something online, and then I added to it. But I say to them, hey, rates dropped to 6.44 yesterday, which may not sound good historically, but remember when they were at 7.21 3 weeks ago? And by the way, if you're looking at $1 million house, your payment changes X amount based on the interest rate. So just keep that in mind when you're looking, that if it's $1 million property and the rate 6.5, or if it goes up to 7, you're at $700-800 a month difference sometimes. So the interest rate and your monthly payments where we should always start from when we're looking. But at the same time, using the graphics we have from Keeping Current Matters, or just looking at the history of interest rates, like where have they been? They were at the lowest point they've ever been in, like since before the 80s. So what we had was a teaser market, was a teaser price to get back in. It flooded the market because there is such an inventory problem. And right now the normalcy is going to be a 5 to a 7% rate for the foreseeable future. So I talked to them about rate buy downs. I talked to them about seller concessions. I talked to them about that most people, when they have a relationship banking lender, most of my clients are getting 4.5 to 5% right now on their purchases because they have really good credit and they're in with their banker. The 6.5 to 7 normal rate is not what most consumers are actually locking into. And then I also talk about the 7 to 10 year ARMs. Like, do you think you'll be in this house 7 to 10 years from now? Probably not. And if you are, that's okay. You have a chance to refinance. But the bottom line is, don't expect that rate or that price to change. You probably will be able to refinance or get something lower, but you have to be comfortable with what that is. Right. And again, looking at the stats, like, well, if rates don't go down and prices still go up, then what will you do? Right. So sometimes people need a little bit of time. They need 6 months to watch as the market doesn't change. But if they're really, really smart, they see that and they're like, okay, yeah, let's just buy. But sometimes people just need to lose a little before they win. So don't get frustrated by them not being ready right now, but just really come from, I say, be the knowledge broker, but come from a state of facts. Show them what it means to them and what could happen, good or bad, and say, hey, what's your plan A? What's your plan B? And then they can at least wrap their head around what they're actually doing to, buy that house or build their financial future. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Great question, great answer too. They focus on the monthly payment has always been the name of the game, right? Because that's what they got to live with every year, every month.
Exactly. And we'd like to role play at our brokerage. And we were, that question that agents get scared of is, are you approved or have you spoken with a lender? And for some reason that feels hard to ask. Why? I'm like, well, it's really, what price point have you been looking in? Oh, I'm, looking at things for 1.5. Oh, great. Congrats to you. I'm looking for things for 250. Great. Congrats to you. How did you get to that number? Oh, I don't know. It's what the houses I like are. Or, oh, I've spoken with a mortgage lender and they've said, and I go, okay, great. Have you looked at the difference in rates? Have you talked about a rate buy down? Have you looked at relationship banking? Like, how's that process been? And no, we're not lenders, but we need to have enough knowledge to know how to speak to people about that. So yeah, the prices, we all do that. We naturally, like if we see a house that's listed and we want to write an offer, what all of us do, we're like, oh yeah, let's right under. It's just human nature. But we never look at comps. If your clients are out seeing houses and they say, hey, I want to write on 123 Banana Street, what do? Oh, it's been on the market 30 days, let's write under. No, you look at comps and you always show that you're the professional and that you're not just writing offers or making decisions without actually having something to back it up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people are waiting for price drops. Yeah, I get that, Janelle. what I've been doing with that over the last year actually is I put a little time frame on it. I'm like, okay, let's watch for them and let's see what happens in the next 2 weeks or month. And let's see about price drops, and let me know if in a month you don't see them. Do you want to buy? In 2 months, do you want to buy? Like, just put some parameters on it, because you could wait forever. And what are your real goals? What are you trying to do? What's important to you about homeownership? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I like that. That's good. That's a really good one, because people do say, oh, I want to wait and see the prices go down. And it's nice to put an actual boundary of parameters on and say, okay, let's do 3 months. And then let's talk in 3 months. Like, that's awesome, actually, because that's a common thing that's coming up right now is, oh, I think the market's going to shift and the prices are going to fall, which
Totally.
I don't know what areas everybody's in, but I'm not seeing it here. I don't know. There's sub-markets where it's happening. Things are coming back down to earth, but overall, we're not seeing this massive drop in most places.
Yeah, we all get that objection right now. Nobody is not getting that we're waiting for prices to drop. I mean, with the bank collapse last week, everybody was like, oh yeah, foreclosures are coming in. Now there's going to be good deals. I'm like, no, there's really not one. Like, half of them were bailed out. But the thing is, putting some parameters around it has been really helpful for people in that position. And sometimes people just say that because they don't know what else to say. It's like in Nordstrom, what are you looking for? Nothing. Do you need help? No. Do you want to buy a house? No, prices are coming down. It's just what they're trained to say. Like, if you're working listings or at open houses, what do buyers do when they come in? Do you have an offer deadline? How many offers do you have in? They just ask that. They're trained to speak and act a certain way based on history. History showed us in 2008, there was a huge crash. Everyone is expecting a huge crash. So I lean on the facts. I look at, foreclosure rates, inventory, demand, the cohorts chart, and just speak to them in that fashion with a lot of empathy. Like, I know this is important to you. Here's the facts, and I'm with you. And you make your little reminders in your CRM, check in a week or two, check in 3 weeks, and keep sending them. Here's what the market's done. Here's what the market's done. Here's what prices are, properties are selling at. And just being there with information and kindness.
Yeah, I love it. Anybody else have questions for Keri?
Yeah, there's no question your buyer can throw at you or your seller can throw at you. You can't answer. Trust me. Throw it right back at them. It's so funny. We were role playing. We're doing dial for dollars. We get together, we make calls, and this one guy said, "Yeah, waiting for prices to drop because rates are so high." And I said, "Tell me more about that." He goes, "I have no idea. It's just what I heard." I was like, "Cool, okay. So what do you want to do?" He's like, "I want to buy a house." Yeah. I mean, if you don't even know what to say, just spit it right back at them.
Yeah, I agree. Most of the time, people are just doing it because someone else told them.
Exactly. It's what they know to say.
Yeah.
Don't be a sheep. Yeah.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, we can wrap. We did about 45 minutes. Usually we do about 30 to 45 minutes. So anybody has any last questions for Keri? Otherwise, we'll let her go.
Don't be shy. Does anybody have any great wins they want to share at all? Anything awesome that happened? Those are fun to share. Don't be shy to share great things that happen in your conversations with your clients or your sales, and people want to know about that. The world is not dying. It's not over. Yeah. Okay. Well, shout out to Nazar. I see Nazar on here. And thank you, Nicole. Thank you. She said, saw you speak at Tom Fair. You were awesome. That's very kind. Thank you.
Nicole is a new agent on our team. She just joined us recently.
Oh, kudos. Congrats. You guys are going to have some fun.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Yes,
I can't wait to come see the offices down there built out.
Yeah, we would love to have you. And thank you again for joining us today. It was awesome. I hope everybody got good info and nuggets from this. I know I did. So again, if you guys don't follow Keri, we put it in the chat there, her handle on Instagram, and definitely do. She's a wealth of knowledge, and thank you so much again. We appreciate you and look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you all. Go sell some houses.
Yep, all of us. Thank you guys. Appreciate you.